check out Providence Elder Place PACE. This program offers healthcare, housing, transportation, and recreation activities. There are no copays or deductibles, and it's covered through Medicare and Medicaid. Providence Elder Place PACE works to keep you healthy and in your home. Call 206-320-5325 or visit providence.org Elder Place. Providence.org Elder Place.
You are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio World. Don't forget to log on www.rainieravenue.world.
Welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio. This is Afternoons with Monique, recording live in Seattle, Washington, every Thursday at 1 p.m.
Good afternoon, Seattle. This is Monique Lee from the Rainier Avenue Radio show, Afternoons with Monique. Today I have the pleasure of inviting a young homegrown comedian of the Pacific Northwest on my show, Sam Ellefson. Sam, are you there?
I'm here.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Doing all right. How are you, Monique?
Not bad, not bad. So welcome to Afternoons with Monique. I want to first get to know you a little bit, right? You were born and raised in Seattle?
I was actually born in Hutchinson, Minnesota, which I'm sure is a town none of your listeners have ever heard of. But I moved out to the Northwest for college about 6 years ago, and I've lived in actually Tacoma during that time. So I'm a Tacoma guy.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Well, what got you into comedy? You're a very young comedian. How old are you?
I'm 25.
Okay. Where did you go to school? What's going on with you?
I unfortunately got a degree and learned I wanted to do stand-up, which is good because sometimes you need a day job. But I started at school and thought I would wanted to try maybe theater or something. And I got involved in a student media program where we would put on like a parody of The Tonight Show. So we were looking for people to host, do monologues, do different sketches and stuff. And I wanted to produce, and I couldn't find a host because I was a first year and I didn't know anyone. Right. So I did it. And I was really, really bad, to be clear, to start. But I heard like one laugh, and I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So are you the youngest child in your family? Or I hear that there's a high statistics that a lot of comedians came from family where they are the youngest children, like Ellen DeGeneres or Jerry Seinfeld. Lots of youngest children. Where are you in the order of birth?
Yeah, there are a lot of babies, and so they're used to getting the attention. I'm on the flip side. I'm a middle child, so I do it to get the attention that I didn't get as a kid.
Well, we all have our talents, right?
Yeah.
So what type of comedy do you tend to focus on? What are the genre?
Yeah, I'm usually pretty. When people watch me, they usually they use words like wholesome and feeling good, but also somehow still really funny. I've managed to. I don't get very dark. Sometimes if I do, it's more of a shock than anything because I don't do it very often. So I'm from the Midwest, and when you pull someone from the Midwest and put them not in the Midwest, there's a lot of naivety. There's a lot of stuff I just am not aware of, which leads to a lot of really funny stuff, I think. And if I can bring that on stage and make it funny, it's really kind of a wholesome. I describe my act as I bring like this naivety along with like a quick wit. So I combine those two things that don't normally go together to have a funny combination.
That's really cool. Situational comedy.
Yes. Yeah, I do more storytelling. I'm not like some people get up and they just do like, I'm trying to think, there's a Pacific Northwest great comic who any comedian who's watching this is going to be mad at me for not remembering their name. Mitch Hedberg, who he does very like set up punchline kind of stuff. Yeah. And I'm very storytelling. So I'll kind of lead you into a punchlines with more of like a situation, like you said.
Oh, that's cool. So let's backtrack a little bit.
Sure.
When you first got into comedy, and did you obviously, I'm assuming, but Why don't you tell us the story? Did you do it part-time at first? What are you doing now? Tell us the progression of where you've been and where you are with comedy.
Yeah, it's a long journey. If you want to do it, you've got to be passionate about it, because it is not. There's no steps. There's no here's what you do to be a professional comedian. Mm-hmm. Everyone thinks they know, but nobody really does.
Right.
Until you've done it, then you can say that you did. Then you write a book and you make a bunch of money. But I started doing those shows, and I realized I wanted to try stand-up. And at first, it was just a mechanism for me to get better at doing the show that I was producing at my college. And then I started to really like doing stand-up. So then I started to slowly hit some more open mics around Tacoma and Olympia and Seattle. And then it's just kind of you've got to work towards getting funnier. And then the funnier you get, then people start to recognize, and they'll give you an opportunity to do, maybe it's a local showcase at like my favorite place to perform in Tacoma is a dive bar called Bob's Java Jive. It's in a giant coffee pot. And it's
I've seen that picture somewhere.
Yeah, it's a lot. I have stories about that place. It has a very unique history, but I love doing stand-up there. And then from there, you maybe start to get booked at a club on a weekend. And then you start to maybe get a headliner this is kind of where I'm at, is I have a couple of headliners who will invite me to feature for them, and I'll kind of go around. I was just in the Cascades a couple weekends ago doing shows in Ellensburg and Leavenworth. And then from there, you slowly build up the amount of material you can do, along with networking. And if you can get TV credits and stuff, that's huge. I don't have any major TV credits, but I know some people who at 25 did, and it helps your career so much. So I'm still, I'm part-time. I'm not full-time right now, but it kind of goes, up and down. I know people who've quit and started doing stand-up full-time, 5 or 6 times as the gigs come or as they dry up. So it can be very unpredictable. Like I said, not for the faint of heart, for sure.
So what do you do? Just segue a little bit. Outside of comedy, what do you do to pay bills?
Right now I work in higher ed, so I actually work at the school I graduated from, and it's good, but it's not stand up. I do that. I also, anywhere I can make some extra money is what I do. A lot of comedians do kind of the stereotypical like Uber driving, delivery stuff, but
a type of jobs.
Yeah. I've been advised that you want to keep your day job as long as you can, because if you quit too early, it can be so stressful. Like literally wondering if next month if you're gonna have the money to eat, because you don't know if you've got a gig or not, because you're not booking far enough out. So It's stressful. I'm glad I have my day job, but I hope one day I won't have to have it.
Pacific Lutheran University is your alma mater. Did you graduate from there?
I did. Yeah, I graduated from PLU. Go Lutz.
Yeah. What did you study?
I studied both communication and theater. So the communication is where a lot of the student media took place, where we were doing like self-made independent media, as well as more like office job applicable stuff. And then I also studied theater, which I never performed before going to college. And I took a class and I wound up majoring in it. So that was kind of a fun journey.
Yeah. I'm going to have to put you on the spot for a second and ask you some material comedy that you perform on stage. Are you willing to share with our audience some funny tidbits?
I'll talk around. I won't like perform it as much. Comedy is a weird art. Yeah. It's not something you can just like try on your friend so it won't come across. But I've maybe got a couple of stories I can share if you'd like. Okay.
All right. Love to hear it. Whenever you're ready.
Well, so again, I'm not going to do it as polished material, but
different surrounding. Yeah.
I wet the bed for a long, long time as a kid, and I joke that like my older brother and I shared a bunk bed, so I joke like it was kind of like I was wetting his bed too, as we were going through that together, and it was because I was a deep sleeper, and I talk about my material how like my brother threw up on me one morning and I didn't wake up. And I was like, if that doesn't wake you up, what will? And certainly not the sensation to pee. So I went to bed for a super long time. I talk about that. Yeah.
Do you use your family as material as a lot of comedians?
Yeah, I do. It's funny. Like my mom doesn't love being made fun of, and that's part of why we love making fun of her. So it's kind of a test being like, I don't want to like make my mom mad at me, but also she does stuff that's funny. So I want to try to include it. So I make fun of that. I talk about being a middle child and how one time when I ran away from home and my dad tracked me down and I said I wanted a new dad. But that's not something you should talk to your dad about. It's something you should talk to your mom about. And so I joke about it in that way.
I see you wear a wedding ring. Does that mean that you're married, and how long?
Yeah, actually, we were a pandemic couple. I met her in the theater department. I was you got some of our wedding photos pulled up. Yeah, I met her. She said something really sassy to me, and then I said something really sassy back, and she was holding orange juice, and I took it out of her hand, and I drank it and gave it back, the cup back to her as a joke. And since then, we kind of started sparking, and then we got married officially married at the beginning of the pandemic. We just eloped, and then the photo that this was in Sedona. We got married in Sedona in June. It worked out because all the cases were low, but she's also an actor. So we're both performers, and it's awesome because she allows me to bounce material off of her. And I'll help do like a little bit of line work with her. Since I've acted, I can like ask some questions to help with her character development. So it's a very artistic household.
Oh, nice. Risk-taking endeavor the two of you embark on.
Yeah, definitely. We question it every day, Monique. I tell you what.
Right. Do you starting to develop material on the wife?
Yeah, it's interesting. I definitely write better on stuff that is a little bit older. A lot of my materials from when I was in high school or early college years are with my family. But yeah, I do have some jokes with her. She's 5'2", and so I have a lot of short jokes in my act.
Very applicable to me too. I'm about that same height.
You're about that height, yeah. It's a 4 foot difference.
I was gonna say, poets and writers, authors who write novels, write their best stuff when there's drama in their life, like when there's sad stuff that happen in their lives, and make them kind of withdraw and reflect and start writing and bring inspiration, right? What brings inspiration to these material to you? Like things that make you cry until you have tears, or tears that bring laughter because you don't want to cry anymore? How does that work?
Yeah, it's tough. It can be, I think the better writer you are, the better it is to take some of those really, really, almost traumatic experiences and make them funny. I mean, I'm fortunate. I grew up very privileged, in a middle-class household. So I didn't have a lot of traumas that you maybe would normally think about, but I talk about, wetting the bed. I couldn't go to sleepovers. I couldn't go to day camp. I couldn't do all this stuff. And it was difficult as a kid to go through that. Or I have stuff where I used to carol in retirement homes, and the people in those retirement homes were so dirty. Like they would say just like the dirtiest pickup lines and stuff just because. And so like just talking about that on stage, there is definitely an element of, if I can make this funny and make everyone laugh, it kind of just furthers that healing. But in my experience, you can't do it until you fully healed or process what's going on. So I think I try to. But it's not necessarily easy. Sometimes it's just, funny things happen in life all the time. Sometimes a story happens and you can exaggerate a little bit here, a little bit there to make it that much better. So I think I pull from wherever. Sometimes trauma, if I can make it work.
A little embellishment for drama never hurts anyone.
That's right.
All right. We're midway into Afternoons with Monique show, and you are on Rainier Avenue Radio with Sam Ellefson, Pacific Northwest comedian, budding, young, and rising. So I have a little bit of interest looking into stand-up for a while, and I looked up some, ways to, because that's like the thing everyone is wanting to do.
Yeah, it's so popular right now.
Right, and so improv. I used to be at downtown. What is that? Underground. And then there's Giggles in the U District. Are those clubs still operating? Have you been on stage there?
It's been tough. My main club was actually the Comedy Underground, and it closed over the pandemic. So that was where I was working regularly on the weekends. I was featuring. I was doing the most work there, and it's just gone now. So that was difficult coming out. The Giggles is actually called Laughs now. It's gone through a series of, it was Giggles, and then there was like a strip club for a while, and then it came back to it being a comedy club. Yeah. And they have some good people coming through, but it's difficult as a Tacoma comedian to get up there and try to network with them. So I haven't made inroads with them yet. There's a club called Club Comedy Seattle that I work at, but they're still working their way back from the pandemic. But the hottest new club, if I'm going to plug one club, Nate Jackson's Comedy Club in Tacoma. He brings in huge headliners. It's just a great room, like a room built for comedy. And so I perform there, especially on their open mics and stuff frequently. But a lot of my work is just like going around to different bars and venues in small towns around Tacoma. And that's honestly where a lot of the money is just doing like, shows that are a few hours away. Yeah.
As part of a comic or comedian, training and, getting familiarized with material that may or may not pan out in front of a crowd, nerve-wracking for you? Oh, there you are.
Yeah, there's me. So this is at a country club in Tacoma, and this crowd was rowdy. The rowdier crowds they're more difficult to deal with, but they also buy more T-shirts at the end. So pros and cons. I was the end of your question there.
What are you telling them there? You look very animated.
Yeah, I think this is from my YouTube. So I have a joke. I found out that 32% of men don't wash their hands in the bathroom, and when I said that, a guy yelled out, "Well, I didn't get pee on him," and so I'm razzing him for that and making fun of him. And the crowd, they were a rowdy bunch, and so I was really having to crowd work my way to get them to pay attention to me, or else they would have just drowned me out.
Right. You're so young, 25 years old, and you perform in these older, what is that, adult nursing homes and comedy clubs with a lot of mature older audience. I would imagine playing up the fact that you're kind of youngish and naive. I don't know why this is happening, but some amusing observation. Do you have those?
Yeah, I think you described a lot of what I bring to the table. I mean, it is true. I mean, I'm generally, at least 5 years younger than most people, and at least 10 years younger than most headliners. So if I'm opening up for them, I have that as a disadvantage sometimes because people don't always want to hear what young people have to say about stuff. But I can bring a little bit of naivety to. It makes it more believable when they see a young kid up there who's falling into situations. I probably won't be able to do a lot of the similar material I'm doing now, in 5 and 6 years, will have to evolve out of my approach. Right. But yeah, it's a lot of just, when I have observation, it's less so coming from I just watched Michael Che's special last night. He's very much like, I know what's going on and I'm telling you what's what. And I'm very much like, I don't really know what's going on, but I'm noticing this stuff. And isn't it crazy that's how it is? 32% of men don't wash their hands. What? And it's almost like stumbling across the information versus, approaching it more like a philosopher, like a Chris Rock.
Right. And because you're young, you can afford to make a lot of mistakes. And, if you bomb once or twice, it's not a big deal. You pick yourself up and you go and nobody really cares because you're young, right?
Well, I mean, I'm really critical of myself. If I bomb, I'm thinking about, I record all my sets. I'm watching them back and being like, what did I do wrong? I just actually recorded a vlog on my YouTube about dealing with difficult nights. And it's hard because afterwards you're just like, oh, why am I doing this? I just stood up there for a half an hour and I did not do well. It's so difficult to be up there while you're bombing. Luckily, I'm at a point where usually I can dig my way out where even if it's a tough room, I'm not bombing the whole time. But it also leads to you getting better because you might not have realized, oh, that joke isn't bomb-proof. I need to make that joke even better if I want to continue to succeed in difficult venues. And also, because the better you make that joke in a hard venue, in an easy venue, you're just going to kill. And if you're in a room set up for comedy, like a comedy club, so.
I don't know if Dan, by the way, the person that's pulling up the clips and the the picture of your wedding. That's Dan Bells, our producer, in the backdrop. Dan and we have a team here who's responsible for making all the things behind the scene happen. If you find, or if you, Sam, have a favorite clip that you want to play for our audience from your YouTube video, type or tell Dan to find it and play it at the end. We got about, I believe, 6 minutes left. So we just need a couple of minutes worth of that while we're talking. Make sure it's clean. Okay.
Yeah. For sure. There's one that's clean. It's about the world's largest ball of twine, where I'm doing stand up in a retirement home. And it should be in my stand-up clips, and it's like a minute and a half long. So let me know if you're having trouble finding that title, and I can elaborate more in the chat.
Okay, all right. So a comedian who are serious about their work get on stage and perform no matter what the weather, or no matter how they might feel, whatever happened during the day. They have to be the ultimate professional and pull it together and be funny. Have you encountered a situation where you like, I wish I don't have to do any funny act tonight because I'm not having a good day. Just standing in front of a bunch of people and making them laugh doesn't sound like the most exciting thing right now. So do you have moments like that yet? Or I've seen Jerry Seinfeld on stage, and he's always funny, right? But I'm curious, when you guys don't have the best day, when the producer or whoever that is working with you is giving you a hard time, what do you do?
Sometimes, especially if you're getting paid, you just gotta deal with it. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm pulling up the video here for your producer.
He found it.
Oh, okay, perfect. It's interesting. It's an interesting headspace to be in. Like if I'm doing an open mic and I'm working on stuff and I'm having a bad day, I might just say, you know what, I'm not going to do it. But sometimes, a show, this part of it is what comedians live for too. Jerry Seinfeld's in a very different place than I am. He can get up anywhere he wants any night. So if he's not feeling it, I think he's got a different mentality than someone like me who's like, man, I don't get to perform at a paid gig in front of 50 people every single night. That's not something I get to do. So if I have that opportunity, I might as well, try to make my day better through that performance. I think when you're feeling good, you usually have better performances, and that's how it goes. Uh-huh. But a lot of it is, sometimes you can just be honest with your audience. You can't always be honest in other places of work, but you can get up and be like, man, I've had a bad day. And you can try to talk about it. It might not be funny, but you can try. Maybe that helps a little bit. So I would say it's often something that makes my day better. So when I'm having a bad day and I go to do it, I usually wind up feeling better afterwards anyways. So I know it's going to be good for me, even if it's not something that I necessarily want to do right now.
Mm-hmm. So we have 3 minutes left, and I have 2 questions, and Dan still had to play the clip. So, quick question: did it help before you were married? Comedians, do you guys meet a lot of women on stage? Do they find funny men attractive? And how does it work with picking up women before marriage?
Well, I met my wife pretty early on in doing stand-up. There's definitely a thing around stand-up comedians, and I think and people like after watching you on stage and coming up and maybe trying to flirt with you and hit on you. It's nice. I've got material about my wife, so that covers that pretty well. But there was one show where after I performed, a woman came up to me and hit on me for her daughter, like was trying to get me to date her daughter while she was in the bathroom. So stuff
she
like
wants
that happens.
Bunnies in her house.
Yeah. How
about favorite comedians that you look up to or find inspiration from?
Yeah, I really like Mike Birbiglia. I think he brings a really interesting perspective to stand up. It's so storytelling and theatrical. Mm-hmm. I also really like Tig Notaro. Is a very like alti comedian who delivers stuff, and it's like no one else could tell that joke but Tig, because it's all in Tig's delivery. So those are a couple. I think any comedian that's good. I just enjoy good comedy. So
okay, we're ready for your clip now, Dan. You want to go ahead and play it?
My town is not as small, quite as small as Riderwood is, but what we're known for is being next to the town with the world's largest ball of twine. That's our, you know of it, do you? What? You know of Darwin? It's 5 miles down the road from me. I've never been in a show. And so the world's largest ball of twine, and the crowd go, oh yeah, we've been there. We know what you're talking about. Have some of you seen it in person? What? Oh my goodness, it's in that giant glass case. Oh, this is exciting. I don't know if you all are having fun, but I am, that's for sure. Okay, you've been to the Palm Twine. Are you from Minnesota? You are on what part? Osseo. It's another small town. Do you know where Hutch is? Hutchinson? Oh my goodness, someone knows where my hometown is in Minnesota. In Riderwood, there are 80 some people here, and one of them has been to my hometown. He's my final 2,000 miles away. And seen the world's largest ball of twine. What's your name? Marianne, that's my grandmother's name. Look at this. Look at this.
Is that the one that you wanted to play?
Yeah, it's just from a writer, which shows some fun crowd work. I was trying to remember which crowd work stuff was completely clean. I knew that one was, so I hope that was enjoyable. There was a retirement community in Riderwood, Washington. So.
Oh, that's pretty funny. All right. So everyone, this is Sam Ellefson, and he is a young comedian. What is the name of the YouTube channel? So people, if they want to check out more of your material, they can go there.
Yeah, you can just look up Sam Ellefson on YouTube and I'll pop right up. My last name's hard to spell, but I'm sure it's on the video here. And then you can also find me at Sam Ellefson on Instagram. And you can feel free to send me a friend request on Facebook or follow my comedy page.
All right. Well, you're on Rainier Avenue Radio, and I am Monique Lee, host of the Afternoons with Monique. Thank you, Sam, for coming on my show.
Thank you so much for having me, Monique.
Okay. Have a good afternoon, everyone. Stay tuned for the next episode of Shattering the Glass Ceiling on Rainier Avenue Radio. Have a good day, everyone.
This is Paul Pearson,